Call to order the June 19th board meeting of the Conestoga Valley Board of School Directors. I want to welcome everyone who's in the room, as well as those that are joining us online. Will you please join me in the pledge to the flag? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Martin, do we have attendance, please?
We have 5 school board directors present tonight. Absent are Mr. Hurst, Dr. Martin, Mr. Gensel, and Mr. Benigno.
Also in attendance is the administrative cabinet, and with Dr. Mann serving as Dr. Zukolski's we do have a quorum, just. This is our second meeting of the month where most official votes are taken, many of which are listed on a consent agenda, which includes those items which are routine or have been discussed at our work session last week. Our meetings observe the requirements of the school code, legislative directives, the original Act 48 Sunshine Law, all subsequent amendments, judicial rulings, applicable regulations, and our school district policies to the best of our understanding and ability. All agendas and related public documents are posted on our website. Are there any changes, additions, or deletions from the agenda?
Yes, there was one addition to the consent agenda item, letter P. P was the approval of the BAA bylaws. This was reviewed with the board last week.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Superintendent's comments, you have something for
I do.
us.
Well, thank you, Madam President. Happy Juneteenth to everyone. Tonight we are introducing 3 candidates. I think we were supposed to have someone else, but he's not here.
We were supposed to have a lot of people.
So,
Correct.
while it sounds like a broken record, because Dr. Huskin used to say it, and I know Dr. Zukolski said it, and I am going to say it also. Conestoga Valley continues to attract high-quality teachers, and we're very fortunate in that regard. With the focus on every child, every day, without exception. I would like to take this moment to introduce a couple people. Before I do that, also a thank you to the administrators and all the teachers involved in this hiring process. I mean, it's an ongoing process. Interviewing today, tomorrow, it just keeps going. So I do appreciate everyone taking time to come in and be a part of the interview committees. The first person I'd like to introduce is Laura Sullivan. So Laura is no stranger to Conestoga Valley, as she has been an active member of VIA for 5 years. She also has substituted at both Fritz Elementary and Huskin Middle School. Laura earned her bachelor's degree in elementary education from California University of Pennsylvania. A noteworthy line on her resume states, "My wonderful children have taught me more about children and teaching than I could ever imagine." We are happy to welcome this proud mom to the middle school as our 21st century skills teacher. Given Laura's history with the district, it seems like instead of saying welcome, she says, "Nice to see you again." Next, we have Kayleen Martin. Kayleen is a recent student teacher at Leola. It was obvious that Kayleen had planned to be a teacher from early on in her life for tenacity and focus on education. She started her journey at the Lancaster County CTC in early childhood education. She earned her associate's degree from HAC in elementary education and her bachelor's degree in elementary education from Millersville University. We are happy to see all the hard work pay off for Kayleen and join our 3rd grade team at Smoketown Elementary. Smoketown? Yep, Smoketown Elementary. Welcome. And the last person I have is Carolyn Weltmer. Carolyn comes to us with a roundabout way, right? She started her teaching career in Florida and then went to Northern Lebanon. And before that, studying here in Lancaster County. After earning her bachelor's degree in elementary education and a minor in middle school mathematics from Slippery Rock University, Carolyn spent 4 years teaching in Kissimmee, Florida, where heading back to actually Hershey, right?
Yes.
You went to Hershey. Well,
Dairy Township.
Dairy Township, okay. To Hershey, Dairy Township, and then to Northern Lebanon.
Yes.
Right, okay, I missed that part. Most recently, Carolyn has earned her master's degree in instructional design at Western Governors University. We're excited to welcome Carolyn to the middle school to join our 8th grade math team. Welcome.
Thank you.
Dr. Knapp, Mr. Kine did make it.
There he is, okay. Next is, last but not least, Connor Kine. Connor is one of our new hires. He was approved last week, so he's already one of us, one of CV. The rest of let's see here what it is. Connor earned his bachelor's degree in human development and family sciences from Messiah University and a master's degree in professional school counseling from Lancaster Bible College. Most recently, Connor comes to us from Carlisle School District, but also has ties with CV as a junior high boys soccer coach. We're excited to welcome him to Brownstown Elementary as our school counselor. Welcome. That's it, Madam President.
Okay, we'll go to board commendations. This is where the board takes an opportunity to recognize students and staff with special accomplishments. Details are available on the agenda and the website. Congratulations to high school senior boys tennis player Yuji Wenger and head coach Dale Gregg, who received All-Star recognition from the Lancaster Lebanon League. Wenger was named a Section 1 All-Star, while Gregg received the LL Coach of the Year. Gregg retired at the end of the 22-23 school year from both his teaching career and CV coaching career. He spent 37 years as an elementary art teacher in the district and 35 years as head tennis coach. Congratulations to senior boys volleyball players Carson Hoover and Andrew Hustrand, who were named Lancaster Lebanon League Volleyball All-Stars. Hoover was also named to the Section 1 first team, and Hustrand was named second team. Congratulations to the 2023 boys and girls track and field team members who earned spots on the honor roll. Nick Tran, Caleb Malari, Jordan Sensney, Zach Fee, Aiden Zimmerman, David Augsburg, and I don't have the first part of this name printed on my paper. Ish, okay. Ish Camacho. Alondra Mohi Ortiz and Brooke Denlinger. Congratulations to senior girls track athlete Brooke Denlinger, who became a 2-time Lancaster Lebanon League champion at the meet in May 12th and 13th. And the following medalists, including Alondra Ortiz, May Linder, and Caitlin Williams. Congratulations to Conestoga Valley High School and Virothon team, consisting of Caroline Culp, Maya Longi, Nastia Ivanchikov, Camden Mailer, and Naomi Longi. State championship competitions and placed 16th out of 63 county teams, having won the Lancaster County Envirothon in April. This placed them in the top 26% of the state. It is one of 3 Conestoga Valley Envirothon teams. Congratulations to Conestoga Valley High School senior girls lacrosse players who were named 2023 Lancaster Lebanon League All-Stars. Michaela Rainier, the Section 1 Honorable Mention, and Rachel Chai was named the All-Academic Team. Excuse me. Congratulations to 7 Conestoga Valley High School boys lacrosse players who were named Lancaster Lebanon League All-Stars following the conclusion of their 2023 season. Seniors Jeff Fisher, Hunter Servagio, Section 1 first team, sophomores Seth Frankfurt and Justin Corson, and Jason Byers and junior Lincoln Dillman were named to the second team. In addition, junior Noah Harrison was named a Jim Fiora Class Act Award Academic All-Star. Congratulations to Conestoga Valley High School seniors received awards from their respective CTC campuses. Adela Fedorenko, Brian Fry, Richard Lowe, Leigh Tupsnack, Daniel Painter, Darlene Reeser, Dylan Wynn, and Cole White. And not printed on the agenda, I'd like to add Jordan Shirey, a fifth grader at Smoketown, for her design-winning ad in the LNP journalism contest. Board comments. Any board comments on recent activities? Was anyone at the Relay for Life that last week? I didn't see anything in the paper. I'm sure that went off well. Comments from CBEA? I guess not. Any other employee groups? Any public comments at this time for anyone who would like to address the board on an agenda item? If not, we will move to the consent agenda. Items A through double C are routine, double D to double P have either been discussed previously at an earlier meeting. Are there any questions about the consent agenda? If not, I will take a motion to approve. I'm sorry.
Just a question quickly. We were talking about the handbook, and I'm going to presume that we either have printed copies or something of the previous handbooks.
Yes, I keep usually last year's hyperlinked for 1 year, so we usually have 2 calendar years worth of handbooks on our website.
Okay, but not the ones before that.
I'll keep 22, 23 as a simple hyperlink, and then 23, 24 will be more prominent on the page.
Are you talking about historical record?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, Dr. Mann has those from a historical record
you do.
perspective.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have
It's
some
not
real-
published,
I have some real
but-
old ones too.
yes.
Well, and so does Odette.
Yes, not all of them, not all of them. I just
I
have
just
one or
wondered
two.
who we go to if there's ever a question.
Back when we had the
Be
Franklin
Dr.
Covey's.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good, thank
Yeah,
you.
well, I think that's one of the many things that we need to get put on Schoology as far as documents available to board members, because every time we have a discipline issue, that's where we look.
Mhm.
Okay. Do I have a motion, second?
So moved.
Second.
Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Dillman?
Aye.
Mrs. Kapka? Aye. Mr. Talley?
Aye.
Ms. Trowbridge?
Aye.
Mrs. Groff?
Aye. Action discussion. We're
So
going
you're
to
legal
start-
now, just let you know. I got the good.
Don't leave us.
Yes.
It'll get lonely here.
Let's make it
Not even.
festive.
Thank you.
It's a big step, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super
Just-
excited.
that's cool.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Those are neat roles.
Yes.
Those are pretty cool.
Thank you.
You have a whole list of things for us?
Yes, the next several things are related to the approval of the final budget. I did a very brief condensed PowerPoint for you, just hitting the major items which haven't changed since previous week or last month. Highlighting, yes, thank you, Don. Just have our timeline on the second slide, and that obviously today's the 19th of June, so we have to approve the final budget this evening. On the next slide is just a summary of our millage rate with Act 1 index, and the fact that we increased our millage rate below the Act 1 index, which was 4.1 down to 2.75%, which takes us to a new millage rate of 15.3776 mils. The next slide is again just a summary of our budgeted revenues and expenditures with a budgeted deficit of almost $2 million and our planned use of fund balance to cover that deficit. And then the very last page is the summary of the committed and assigned fund balances. We do the best we can right now with it, but we know these numbers will change over the next year or so as we close out the current fiscal year and have to make any adjustments there. So just going over that in brief, I do need an approval of the final budget resolution for a budgeted expenditures of $94,270,000.
First, I have a message from our still superintendent, Dr. Zukoski, who said, keep in mind and share with our constituents that the reason we have to levy taxes is because the state legislature and governor are not proactively addressing our significant level of underfunding from the state in order to not harm those districts who are currently being overfunded. Over $8 million annually is due to us for the fair funding formula.
Yes.
parting words.
Maybe I'll keep those words and repeat them every year too.
Oh, please, I hope we don't have to every year.
I hope not either, it'd be
We
nice.
can't keep this up. May I have a appropriate motion, please?
Everyone's looking at me? I'll do it.
Anybody, I don't care who.
Yeah, I move that we approve the budget for the next fiscal year.
Second.
Roll call vote. In any order, you don't have to keep jumping around.
It's easy for me to go in order. Mrs. Kapka.
Aye.
Mr. Talley.
Aye.
Ms. Trowbridge.
Aye.
Mr. Dillman.
Aye.
Mrs. Groff.
Aye. And the resolution that goes with it.
Yes, the annual tax levy resolution, again, that's just listing out all the millage rate for the real estate and interim taxes.
I move that we approve the tax rate millage.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Talley.
Aye.
Ms. Trowbridge.
Aye.
Mr. Dillman.
Aye.
Mrs. Kapka.
Aye.
Mrs. Groff.
Aye.
And requesting approval of the resolution for the committed and assigned fund balances, which I just showed you on that PowerPoint.
I so move.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Trowbridge.
Aye.
Mr. Dillman.
Aye.
Mrs. Kapka.
Aye.
Mr. Talley.
Aye.
Mrs. Groff.
Aye.
And last but not least is the resolution suspending the per capita tax. We have not levied the per capita tax for several years.
I move to suspend per capita tax.
Thank you.
Second.
Mr. Dillman.
Aye.
Mrs. Kapka.
Aye.
Mr. Talley.
Aye.
Ms. Trowbridge.
Aye.
Mrs. Groff.
Aye.
I believe
Thank
that's
you.
all.
We have
Thank
a
you all
budget.
very, very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your tremendous work.
Very smooth.
Thank you, thank you.
Good process.
Yeah, it's worked out well,
Yeah.
worked out well. Thank you very much for your support too.
Dr. Mann, you have an agreement from a safe school?
No, wait,
No.
we need E, letter E.
Oops, I skipped one.
Yeah.
We have a contract to approve for Mrs. Hunsinger.
I'll make a motion. I approve that we, I move that we approve the compensation for the Chief Financial Operations Officer for 2023-2024.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Mrs. Kapka.
Aye.
Mr. Talley.
Aye.
Ms. Trowbridge.
Aye.
Mr. Dillman.
Aye.
Mrs. Groff.
Aye. Okay, now, Dr. Mann.
Sure, thank you. So we have here a contract that I'd like to have you approve with the Center for Safe Schools. I had talked about this last week and went back through my notes and realized that they never sent it to me, so I'm bringing the contract to you now. I had worked with them in the past. They did our physical assessment of the high school and the middle school back in January. Now I'm asking them to come back and do our health and safety as part of that comprehensive evaluation, again, for the high school and the middle school. And I have it tentatively scheduled for them the weekend of Columbus Day. So they'll come in and they'll be talking with and interviewing students as well as teachers and other members of the high school and middle school community. So I'm looking for approval of that, please.
Is that the letter of agreement?
Yes.
I move that we approve the letter of agreement.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Talley.
Aye.
Ms. Trowbridge.
Aye.
Mr. Dillman.
Aye.
Mrs. Kapka.
Aye.
Mrs. Groff.
Aye. And Dr. Mann and Dr. Kozer are going to bring us up to date on preparing for the next comprehensive plan. Seems like we just did this.
We did. This is your year 2 update. So we just finished our second year of implementing the current plan. And each year we bring you an update on those big milestones that we've been working on as action teams. So we're going to walk you through those for year 2. This is our second year. We're going into our third year. So this is the year coming up is the overlap year where you're finishing up your current plan, but then this fall we will actually start planning for and doing another needs assessment for the new plan. So we'll be involving the school board in that into the fall and over the winter. So our year 2 deliverables, our big focus areas. Don's going to start with our first one, the profile of a CV learner.
Right, so priority 1, as you know, is profile of a CV learner. The committee, which actually Dr. Zukowski led, worked on that throughout the year. Also in that committee was Mel, Andy Graybill, and Taylor, and a whole host of teachers that helped them through that process. And what they really focused on was developing rubrics for the profile of CV learner to look at how we're going to evaluate and see how things are going through the implementation of that. The other big piece of that is, as you're aware, we started working with Jay McTighe and his group with the curriculum. And so as part of the profile of a CV learner, you're looking at those overreaching goals. And so that's fundamentally a part of that as well. So it's all tied together with that. And so now we're in that stage of that's work is being done and the curriculum work is beginning this summer. Actually, it's already started, but beginning this summer, and those things will start to merge, coming together.
Okay, our second big priority area, again, these line up with the board goals and the district goals, is the implementation of the CV instructional model. And so in year one, we conducted an audit of how we were doing with those practices. And we identified two big focus areas to start digging into: rigorous and relevant learning experiences, specifically on the standards-based curriculum. And then the second was on positive learning environments, specifically the PBIS indicator from that model. And so neither of those should come as surprises to you that there's a big green check mark. That's been the focus of the majority of presentations, work, contracts, committees that we've been sharing with the board this year. So we are on track and in really good shape with this deliverable this year. Also under the instructional model is building our multi-tiered system of supports, MTSS. This is a work in progress, and what we realized this year was that it was one of those that the more we learned, the less we knew. If that makes sense, the more we wanted to spend some time really understanding. And so this year we took a pause and we actually spent the entire year just learning. We met with the IU13's MTSS consultant. Administrators met with her once a month throughout the entire year. Our reading specialists and math specialists began to get involved. And then toward the end of the year, she did trainings for our elementary teams and our secondary teams in MTSS. So this was one that it looked good. The deliverables looked good when we wrote the plan. But the more we got into it, we really wanted to slow that down and make sure that we had a solid understanding before we decide what the next steps are in this area. So this is one that we definitely see continuing into the next comprehensive plan, because it really is your entire academic system in your district. It's not something that you just check and get completed within 1 or 2 years. So this is a work in progress. We didn't quite hit our goals, but we made a lot of progress toward it in a different way than we expected.
Similarly, while that was a work in progress, this one we made a little detour. Last week we talked to you and shared with you the Act 13 differentiated plan that the teachers committee worked on for supervision.
Yeah.
And as part of that, this was embedded in that, and as the work continued on, we pumped the brakes on this one as well, because it started to take a little different flavor to it. And currently now, this is embedded in the IU component last week that we talked about, when I talked about the personalized learning. But there's more to come in this area where we look at developing a personalized plan for teachers beyond just the immediate. So it's an ongoing process. So slight detour on this. Again, I would foresee this coming back around in the next plan as we continue that work.
Our third big priority area, that growth and achievement focus area, specifically this is the action step around the equity audit. And so in year 2, we were supposed to have analyzed all the results and implemented our database protocols. We haven't gotten those results back. We do feel that by the end of year 3, we actually will hit the year 3 goal. So overall for the plan, we're going to be on progress toward the end goal. It's just one of those go a little bit slow to go really fast to get once we get the information. So we still feel confident that by the end of 2024, we'll meet the goal that we outlined in the plan. The work just took a little bit of time to put together and get the right people in place. Okay, and then our next one, also in that Priority 3 area are trauma-informed practices. This is one that Sarah and her team have been working on. It's putting together that district-wide plan for trauma-informed practices. And so this came as part of our recent grant applications for the PCCD funding. Sarah did put together an initial base level plan. However, that will be fleshed out in more detail this year through a trauma-informed work group that she'll be putting together. And so again, on track. By the end of year 3, we're gonna have a lot of greens, but it's getting the systems and getting the setup in place that's taking us some time, which is all good.
Our next priority is looking at community engagement. And so Mel Upton and her team has been working in this area. Some of the things that she's accomplished is integrating junior achievement and virtual job fair for 9th grade students, which will be part of their 9th grade career course. So that's a thing. Last week, you recall, I presented to you a contract with My Plan. Again, that's part of that work as well, to work on pulling together the tools necessary for our 339 plan, as well as working with Act 158 and helping to facilitate this work as far as workforce opportunities and so forth. And then in the
May I ask, is that the work we were talking about, having more internships?
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. That's a lot of internships and a lot of businesses. I mean, you're talking, what, 300 every year? Do you think that's?
If we do that.
Yeah.
I mean, right,
If we go to that extent.
if we go to that extent. But there are, right, it's a major undertaking.
Yes, I would think you'd almost have to
Yes.
make sure, be willing to go outside the district for some of them.
Yeah, and there are opportunities, but it's still it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It will be a lot of work, but well worth it if we're able to pull it off.
And you'll have to redo it every year too.
Once you get things moving, yeah.
It falls into place.
Yeah, but updating,
Yeah.
and making sure, you're doing what you want, so annual evaluation and so forth. We also, 23-24 junior achievement elementary programming, continuing that and adding to that. The middle school, we used to do, and we're going back to doing what's called the YES program through junior achievement. And at the high school, we did before, but we're bringing it back, is the STEM fair and real life event, which were things that we looked at prior to COVID, and now we're circling back to that. So Mrs. Upton's working in those areas as well. Another part of this, and again, a work in progress, is things that we've done, or she's worked on over the course of this past year, was we had the career and industry standard tours for the high school staff and a business expo that involved 9 local businesses where the staff went and toured and got to see firsthand what our industry is looking for as far as preparing young people for their next phase of life. She also had 25 businesses as part of the local roundtable and the way that was set up. So it was a nice cross-section of businesses and opportunities for staff, professional staff, to interact with these individuals to get a good sense of, what we're doing and how we're impacting our larger community. Other things that she worked on is reestablishing the CV Barnstormer Spirit Night, which will come back in the fall. Created the Career Ready part of the district website, and that provides workforce opportunities for people to take a look at. Also increased opportunities for students for the Future Ready activities, and this is like we were saying about beyond CV here. She's worked with Rock Lidditz, live event career exploration day for them, day in the life of Penn Medicine, so shadowing, so not necessarily internships, but shadowing,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
things of that nature. Lunch and Learn with Lighthouse Vocational Services, Junior Achievement Virtual Job Fair, just doing things virtually like that. We've also been working with Cybersecurity Awareness Day, which is with New Paths, and New Paths is associated with Harrisburg University. We've done work with them in the past, try to get some of opportunities for our students to see that as a career path for them. So Mrs. Upton's been working on that as well, and how that's connected to CareerLink and Lancaster Chamber. Other things that she's done is, as far as examples of internships, whether it's at local university like the Universal Health Club, Lancaster Barnstormers for workforce management, accounting of different financial groups, art teacher, the student was interested in art teachers. We had a teacher at the middle school that was overseeing that. So a variety of opportunities, and it goes on, the list goes on, of different ways that she is connecting community and students to help them as they explore their future. Let's see here. And finally, working with IU13 in the Career Readiness Collaborative and the Career Ready Lancaster in the chamber in the workforce. So she's been very busy, pulling all these things together and really starting to put things in motion. So over the next couple of years, we'll start to see this expand even more.
So once a year, we pull together our entire team, and that was Friday, June 9th, and we sit down and we reflect on every single goal, every single action step, what worked. We step back, we take a really broad view of our process, our communication structures, and after doing that, we identified some strengths from this year 2 implementation, but then also some challenges and revisions we want to make. So overall, when we think about the process of implementing such a significant number of initiatives that really impact the direction of the district, our strengths that we found were, by the end of this year, the profile of a CV learner group and that curriculum group, that instructional model group, we just became one and the same. What was so great with that framework that we shared with you from Jay McTighe is the profile competencies line up with the standards and the instruction to really create that cohesive experience for our students. And so that was something we didn't expect to happen, but they've merged, and we've all decided we want to keep those two teams now working as one rather than two different projects or initiatives. One of the other strengths we saw was just an incredible alignment between our K-12, our elementary, middle, and high school, whether it's conversations, talking about how the implementation of these different pieces are going at their schools with such a strong focus and alignment. Our principals and our teams are having more conversation across the entire continuum than we've seen before. And that's a really exciting thing that all of our principals and assistant principals agreed was a positive outcome of this work on the comprehensive plan. We're seeing progress and movement on every item. There's not really anything that's stalled out or that we feel like we're not getting to. We are moving it. Dr. Z gave us that charge. It was my first day in the district. He said, Jill, here's the comprehensive plan. And this is not going to be a document that sits on the shelf. We need you to talk to Don and figure out how this is going to be living, breathing, and we're going to see movement. We're really proud to say that we've been able to do that on each of those items. And then that last strength is really breaking down some of the silos that existed, whether that was the elementary to middle to high school or the curriculum work versus the PBIS work and the behavior systems. We're seeing those silos in our system really start to be reduced and seeing more collaboration. And that ultimately results in not having a program, but building a system. And that's really the heart of this comprehensive plan, is establishing systems that are rooted in our learning community.
Well, that was what we lost when we got rid of our SAS program, our subject area supervisors, that K through 12. And we kept asking, who's watching the K through 12 curriculum as it's developed, because it should be consecutive and cumulative. We're glad to see that's back. That's basic.
And finally, just kind of continuing that theme, pace of the work, again, more intentional. Last week I was at the middle school working with some teachers and Rachel with IXL and so forth, but just being more intentional in what we're doing, making sure that we're understanding that bigger picture. And so, which is exciting. It's just exciting to see the excitement, just people excited about the work. Quality over compliance. Always, you want to be compliant, obviously you need to be, but you want to make sure you have the quality layered in there. And as Jill mentioned earlier, we're learning and learning and learning throughout this process. And as we uncover different things, make sure that we are addressing all the necessary components that need to be addressed. And then ongoing communication that is necessary through all of this to make sure that all the appropriate people are informed of the process and different opportunities that are taking place. And I mean, I'd be remiss not to mention, all the work that Jill's done as far as coordinating a lot of the professional development in the back end. There's a lot going on when it comes to whether it's the power school stuff that's going on, which is kind of on the side, but yet a part of all of this. I mean, it's part of our SIS. Well, it's not part of it. It will be the SIS. And so that's all interconnected to this work. Because if that's not working, all this other stuff stops and starts to fall apart. But the work that she put in to coordinate that, as well as the working with the IU and the curriculum work, has been very, very good.
Well, I appreciate that because I just realized I used an emoji in a PowerPoint presentation for Mrs. Strom. So thank you for the compliment, Dr. Mann.
I'm not going to touch
I'm sitting there like, oh, I just put that right in the PowerPoint. I did.
And Jill, you use ...
I did. Do you not like ...
My question is, do you see anything in this comprehensive plan that you would already know you're going to want to carry over?
Mhm.
Either because it wasn't completed or there's so much more that can be done?
Absolutely.
And I think part of that also would be the depth
Yes.
of
Yeah.
a lot of these
Yeah.
things.
The other thing is the detail that you have in front of you. I wish that could be posted for the board to be able to review, the detail, just what's done. The intention of the 3-year district goals, which are the same as a comprehensive plan, was that they be reviewed semi-annually and annually. So if they would at least get posted, that we could see what was continuing, and you can take the same document and just add things to it. Once you have to start from scratch on each one of those.
Yeah, I think the things that were identified in this plan are really, really significant shifts in the system. And so we do see a lot of this work. Karen, this isn't 3-year work and it's entrenched in the system. This is 6-year. I keep telling her, give it 5 to 7. 5 to 7 is when you really, really anchor things like PBIS and new curriculum into a system. So, we'll certainly look at our needs assessment for the fall, but I don't see the comprehensive plan focus areas changing significantly, because to add any new initiatives a year from now, that's gonna put too much of a burden on the system. I would say it's like a rope bridge, right? Like when the weight gets, we're about there, we're about there.
That was the whole idea of making the district goals 3 years. So there was time to really do them well. That worked so well. I'm so pleased with that.
Dr. Mann, you mentioned you were at the middle school and you were excited to see the excitement. So do you still feel that there's buy-in, base level buy-in that is widespread?
I would say very much so. I mean, the various committees that people are on now, people are full of ideas and really wanting to engage in the conversations and the work to be done. We had people show up to the training last week that weren't even on the list. I just sent out an email saying, hey guys, in case you missed it, and they showed up. So to that, in fact, I have a follow-up to them tomorrow. And so, yeah, we're seeing that.
Year 1 was definitely the administrative level. So we didn't go much beyond that. This year now, we went into some work groups, teacher leaders, that's it. Now next year, all of these things will start going out to the full staff. So we'll have a much better gauge at that point.
And is there a concerted effort or a focused plan to engage? We have so many new staff members.
Yes.
And are we intentionally trying to draw those folks in as well?
Yeah, our committees, we make sure, for example, the Act 13, we wanted to make sure we had teachers who were not tenured on there, because you saw their flow chart, it was different than other teachers, and so we're consistently looking for the whole continuum on any of our work groups or faculty groups that are helping us plan for these initiatives. Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate your work. It's a huge project, so thank you. It's impressive.
Absolutely.
Thank
Do you incorporate this program in our new teacher orientation program?
We do. So Don and I have a section where we go over the big rocks, we call them. These are the really big, important things you want to fill up your bucket with first, right? We go over that with the new teachers. This year, because we have some of those early dismissals that are targeted just for the Act 13, the educator effectiveness, we'll actually be pulling our new teachers together as a cohort 3 times during the year on early dismissals to specifically go into more depth in these focus areas. You know, they come in a week in August and
Yeah.
I mean, we do our best to slow things down, but our main goal that week is to welcome them to the learning community, build relationships, really help them feel like they belong and are a part of the CV community. So during the school year then, we'll be able to time up our topics as they're relevant. So for example, we'll talk about curriculum after they've had the first couple weeks of school and are ready to really think about what resources are out there related to the curriculum updates. So we've built in more intentional times to bring them together specifically to support and go a little bit more in depth with these initiatives.
I would challenge most school districts to be able to prove that their teachers understood the comprehensive plan.
Mhm.
Sometimes not even all the administrators do, because it was done and put aside, but
Right,
I
right.
think this has been an excellent
Right.
program. We're really pleased. Thank you. Any other questions? That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next is the information agenda. Are there any questions on the finance and operations report? Curriculum instruction, I think we just almost heard. Are there any federal funds? None?
That I'm aware of.
Then we're ready for the athletic update.
Good evening.
Dina, would you like me to project anything?
Sure, if you could just click on that first one there, we'll just start with that. Was that the sound system one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where'd it go?
It looks like it's still
Oh,
working.
it's still coming.
So our sound systems in Rill and Ueda gyms are about 19 years old and are now showing it. We had just a lot of problems the last couple of years, and this year they got to be worse just in terms of the sound cutting out during events, during the national anthem, during senior night announcements. We also host numerous playoff games. We are always chosen to host, and I had to ask IT to bring in separate speakers, and so it's time. So I got in touch with Sage. They were able to put together this quote, and I will use the remainder of what's in my budget, and then the rest of that, which is probably I can't give you an exact number, but I want to say it's about $10,000, and then the rest of it will come out of the fund balance.
Which fund balance?
The athletics fund balance.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't know we had a specific athletic fund balance. I knew we had some specific, assigned balances, but I don't ever remember seeing one that was listed as athletic. Am I wrong there?
No, the athletic fund balance has been increasing over time. Over the last several years, it's just accumulated up to about $125,000.
But am I right that I've never seen it listed with the assigned balances?
Correct, that we track the athletic fund balance separately from the general fund.
And
So-
the other assigned funds?
The assigned and committed parts of the general fund balance are in the general fund. We have a separate fund just for athletics so that we can track any accumulated fund balance that way. We don't merge the two funds together.
Okay. Then the money is all there for it.
Do we have to bid this to the level?
No, the Sage Technologies is a,
Prime contractor?
yeah, well, it's on CoStarz, which is a
Okay.
cooperative purchasing unit.
All right, so they're on the state
Yes.
list,
Yeah.
pre-bid already.
Any other questions?
Do you need this approved tonight, or
I
No,
don't
not till
think
we have
it's for
contracts.
approval. Is that not up for
Is it for
approval?
approval?
It's just
just information?
information.
It's just
Yeah.
information.
Well, okay, they sign contracts, so bring those to us.
Okay.
And then the other documents that you see are the prior athletic ticket plans. And then just one that I put together, I proposed another one. We're a little bit outdated. I'm not exactly sure how long the other one has been in existence, but it's been a while. And since then, our seasons have gotten a little longer. We have more night games, so we're charging for more games. And so I put something together that I thought was still reasonable. It's definitely higher, but still reasonable. And even if you just take a look at the season ticket plans, I put together some numbers here just to give you an idea. So in the fall, we would have approximately 23 games among the 4 sports that we would charge for evening games. 5 sports: football, boys and girls soccer, field hockey, and girls volleyball. So we would charge for approximately 23 games, $5 per adult. That would equal $115 if somebody went to every one of those games. And the fall season ticket plan, which is new, these season ticket plans are new, would be $40. So that is a significant savings for our residents. For the winter season, between boys and girls basketball and wrestling, we would have approximately 26 events at $5 each, which is $130. So we would be charging for the season $50. And then in the spring, between boys and girls lacrosse and boys volleyball, we would have approximately 15 games that we would charge for at $5, which would be $75, and we would charge $30. And so if somebody wanted a season-long pass, they would only be paying $75 as opposed to $50. I mean, it is a 50% increase, but it's still a very good savings. And then the student pass, we kept it at $30. We are trying to encourage more school spirit. Our school spirit is lacking. So we are really trying to keep that low so that more students can come to the games and just be involved. And again, like if you're looking at for instance, the 2 adult and 1 student year-long pass, they're basically getting the student pass for free. When you look at the price there and how much we charge for the student and the adult. So it's still a savings, even though the prices are higher.
Do you know how these prices compare to other schools in the area?
I don't. That's a great question. And typically that is something that I do, is look at what the other schools are doing. A lot of the schools that, although we communicate quite a bit as athletic directors, and I would say that there is a good number of schools that don't even offer season passes. But if that's something that you would like me to look into and report back to you, I'm happy to do that.
I think it's at least worth knowing.
Sure, absolutely. Mhm.
Is there ever a way to make it more economical to attend the away games?
No, because that is up to the opposing
School.
school. Yeah.
And there's never been any cooperation among schools to consider that?
Not really, because for instance, the season pass wouldn't be worth it because we only play them
Yeah.
a couple of times a year in certain sports, so I don't know that it would really be worth the savings.
Any other questions?
If you could just make it 1 page, that'd be awesome. I
Okay,
know that's nitpicky, but as a person who gets
I will make a note
10,000
of it.
forms a year.
Yeah, I don't remember right now. Do we approve these things?
No, we never have in the
I
past.
couldn't remember, because it hasn't changed for a while.
But with it being a cost, maybe we could put it on the consent agenda?
I'll have
Since
to
there's
look-
money
I'll have
involved?
to look into it. It's like we didn't approve the parking fees.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know that in the past we've approved any increase in revenue generating fees such as our lab fees or parking fees.
So we should.
We presented
So we
them to
don't-
you.
we
We have to
presented
it, but not
present,
approved.
we don't,
Yes.
okay, I just wanted to make sure that we were
Sorry.
being consistent with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
That's all,
any
thank
other
you.
questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That is the end of the information agenda. I have, the IU reports are a little outdated because we've changed our meetings to after-hour meetings. And we'll get back to the earlier meetings this fall. So we're always lagging one. There were a couple things that I did want to bring to your attention about the IU. We have purchased, I can't remember the name of the school, but we have made a purchase for another building. It's in Lebanon. The IU services in Lebanon have greatly lacked what's available for Lancaster County students. And some of our seats in Lancaster County programs are taken by students from Lebanon that, come in. So we have bought an elementary school, fully furnished. I understand they plan on taking with them some special chairs in the library, and that's it. Much as in Mannheim, we purchased another building. Our joint operating committee has approved it, and again, we do this without mortgage. Now, there's something that, we can all be a little bit jealous of, to be able to do that.
Remember that when they bring their budgets.
Excuse me?
We'll remember that when they bring their budget proposal.
Well, I don't think you'll have any
No, I
complaint
know.
about their
It's a
budget
good-
proposals either, but yeah, that is
Do
something
you
to
think
remember.
that that's because maybe it's more rural up there, so they offer less?
It's mostly been a limitation of facilities in the area. The one building we have, well, of course, it's flooded.
Mhm.
And actually, what they say, and there's always a bright side to everything, because of that, so many places stepped up to help us find rooms. That's when we became aware of some buildings that were being sold. And they agreed to sell it to us, and we're more than happy to do that. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what the price was. I think it was 1.3 million, but don't quote me on that. But it will also, by being able to provide services in Lebanon for those students, that will open up seats for Lancaster County students here in Lancaster. So it's a win-win for both the students of both counties. But we're really excited about this opportunity. It's been in the works for a while. It just took a little bit before they were willing to advertise it. But it finally hit the papers in Lebanon that they were selling it to us, so we may as well live up to it. The PSBA report, again, that was just put on today, so you may not have seen it. I wanted to bring your attention to the Innovation Awards, if you're interested in those, and they are having an all-day program on onboarding new board members, if anyone's interested in going. Other than that, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Legislatively, there were two things. One was, I think I mentioned this before, the Office of Civil Rights, OCR, which is what the mother organization over Title IX. The last time I reported to you, they were in their last 60-day review before making all those regs for interscholastic sports permanent. They got so many responses that they couldn't review all of them in time, so now those regs are being put off until the fall. There was one other legislative thing I wanted to bring to your attention, and I'm going to make sure I have them to hand out. I might not have it with me. If necessary, I'll do that the next time. I still have copies of those Title IX regs, if you want the press release. It's very, I think I mentioned that before. It's very simple, it's very easy to read, it's very easy to follow. Other than that, I wanted to mention the the academy. We graduated over 20 children this year, this summer. It has been a long time since we had a graduating class that large. I mean, we had at one point down to 6 kids a year, and now we're doing 20 just in the summer. And I don't know if we're going to get through with it, but we are looking at the possibility of another location in northeastern part of the county. Because that's still a bit of a hike for some of those kids up in that area. But other than that, those are my reports. And I think the only one left is the CTC. We don't have anyone here for it. Were any of you at any committee meetings? Then I guess we'll go on to the construction report.
Yeah, so certainly Dr. Mann is well engaged in it, but the work at the new middle school, obviously we're in the summer work, right? So there's a couple big things that need to be finished. The terrazzo flooring obviously needs to be taken care of. We're down to what, Dr. Kozer, 9 weeks of summer remaining?
A little less.
Little less, so
Yeah.
we're pushing very hard to get the work finished before the start of the school year. The work on new Smoketown is progressing very well. A lot of work is happening in general, seems to be progressing on schedule. I think the teams are working very well together on that project.
And that's supposed to be ready, what, second semester?
February next
February,
February, right? Yeah.
I'll just be glad to have the middle school done.
Yes.
Fine.
I don't know if you had anything to add, Dr. Mann.
No, other than the summer is ticking away.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of work being done, but a lot of work to be done.
You know, considering I already filled the newspaper, yeah, I'm sure it'll be done. I just remember what it was I wanted to talk about legislatively. I don't know how serious anybody is, or if it's just, a lot of horn tooting going on, but there is a lot of activity around charter school reform. And I have a copy, if you want to read it, of a modernizing charter school bill that one of the representatives has put in. And you can see exactly what they want to address, which are all the right things, but I'm not holding my breath. But anything they do would certainly be a help. Anything else? And I think that's pretty well, what am I missing?
That's
That's it. We do have time at this point if anyone else would like to address the board from the public. If not, I have no board announcements unless some of you do. Our dates are posted, and at that point, I would take a motion to adjourn to executive session for legal and personnel reasons.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned in record time.